What's up, Digitalog fam? My name's Felicia, and today we're sitting down with singer, songwriter, and curator Ellen Bryant. Ellen Bryant is an R&B singer from Melbourne, Australia, and I'm super excited to get to know her as an artist, a singer. So, on behalf of the Digitalog team, we really thank you for being here and chatting with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. How exciting.
Okay, so for starters, how exactly did you get into music?
The long-winded response is that I started by dancing, and that was my way of being influenced by music. I grew up dancing rather than singing. And we always had a piano in the house, but it wasn't something that I was fully immersed in until I was like 22, maybe. I moved to Sydney when I was 18, and I met a couple of people that really inspired me to write my own music and like just really backed me. And that was a really cool feeling, because coming from a small town and being in a big city, it's a different like mindset and like group of influences. So yeah, I would say that I like started doing music and writing my own music at like properly maybe like 18 or something. And yeah, I was doing dance contracts for the majority of it, and then I got over, playing a character, and I just wanted to share my own music. So that's the way I got into it. I'm so grateful for dance, because that kind of paved the way for me to, you know, be in music.
Wow, that's actually interesting because you don't hear that
Mm.
talked about so many times. Like most of the time, artists are like, "Oh, I grew up singing." So
Yeah, no, like I didn't grow up with like I explained to my mom, I'm like, I wouldn't say that I grew up with like intentional music playing in the home. It was like it played because I was dancing, I was doing a routine, I was doing something to rehearse for an Eisteddfod or whatever, like a dance comp. And it wasn't until like my 20s that I really stopped and I was actually listening to music and finding different genres, different artists, different people that I didn't grow up listening to, and really hearing it and just stopping and listening, to how incredible music is and storytelling is.
right.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we hear of a particular experience or a person that inspired an artist to pursue a career in music.
Hmm.
Who or what was that for you? I know you talked about dance, but if you could pinpoint like a specific moment or person
Yeah.
that really like took you to that place, like, okay, I want to do this for real, what would it be?
Mm. 2013, I think. And my mind just like went straight to it. Jill Scott performed at the Enmore Theatre in Sydney. And I got a call from a friend, and he was like, "Hey, I've got tickets to this woman called Jill Scott." And I was like, "I don't know who that is." Like literally, I had no clue. I was like, because again, I didn't grow up listening to all that she is. And basically, I got a ticket, and I just was like, "Oh my days!" Like the way she conducted the audience with her, like a whole encompassing spirit. I was like, wow. And the storytelling, the lyrics, like the love. And I just felt that. And it was just the most inspiring thing until this day that I have like felt like within my body, you know what I mean? Like the core. I was like, whoa. I was like, who is this woman? Why don't I know about her? I've been under a rock.
Yeah, because I mean, I grew up with Jill Scott, but I know
Mm,
like as an adult, like I feel like I appreciate music a little bit more because this is something
yeah.
that I'm interested in. So that's so dope that you were able to kind of like learn about her,
Mm.
later on when you could really appreciate it. So that's
Yeah, and it wasn't just the live performance, it's her books as well, like the poetry. She's like got such a quirky way of getting her point across, and also just in my development as a woman, like she's dropping gems left, right, and center, and I just listen, because she's like the wise auntie that, you know, actually that really speaks to me in that way. And yeah, it's the same as Erica Badu. And like, I'll always reference these two women because for me, I'm like, it's not just musically, it's like as beings, like they really inspire me in their way. Individually, they're both incredibly different, but so yeah, inspiring to me in that way. Yeah. taught
So,
me to back myself, you know?
yeah.
Like as a woman, like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the start of your career, you worked
Hmm.
as a dancer and a singer at Universal Studios in Singapore.
Hmm.
What was that experience like, and how do you think it helped to set you on the trajectory of your music career?
Mm. Well, firstly, it was a whole bunch of fun. Like Singapore was a great country for me to grow up in, you know, like as in mentally, as in as someone in my early 20s, like I really started to like look alive in different ways, you know, at that point. And I had a beautiful bunch of people around me. And yeah, the way in which Singapore like shaped, you know, now and how I've come to be, it taught me a lot of professionalism. Like there was a lot that, you know, I was a kid when I went into that job, and there was so much that I learned in the way of like sound, lighting, like things that you don't get taught, you just learn along the way, I guess. Like as an artist, you just go with it. So for me, I'm so grateful that I had that experience in understanding the different aspects of shows and like yeah, just professionalism, being on time, like small things that, you know, that are overlooked that I really take seriously. So yeah, I would say that Singapore is extremely instrumental in the way that it, you know, shaped my professionalism and my dedication, I guess, because we were doing like 3 shows a day.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna ask about that. Like, what
yeah,
did that look like at the Universal Studios? Like,
so it was 15-minute show and we had like, it felt like 49 million songs in it. I'm like, I've never been fitter in my life. I look back at that time and I'm like, I don't know who that girl is. Like, seriously, I'm not a, yeah, it was crazy. It was full on like belting music, like belting songs, like in show tunes, you know,
yeah,
um, and doing dancing and kicks and whatever at the same time. And it was like a lot. You'd work like 4 days a week, 3 shows a day or something. And, you know, on your off days, you're still practicing and going to the gym and all this sort of stuff. So it was super intensive, like and conditioning, you know. I loved it. It was great.
and I bet it taught you a lot about commitment and like being
Mm,
committed to something and putting in that effort. Um,
yeah.
so that's definitely cool. So
Yeah.
after leaving Singapore, you relocated to Toronto with
Hmm.
a few people. But in that experience, you ended up finding a community of other talented people, and then also finding a passion for like putting on shows and events. So, just expand more on what that experience was like.
Yeah, so I was in Singapore and I was like, damn, I really don't want to play a character anymore in a show. Like, I just want to tell my own stories and bring people together, you know, like ultimately that's what I want to do. Just bring people that maybe wouldn't usually share the same, like same space, like together. You know, I'm friggin' over singing show tunes, even though I have a deep love for show tunes. Go ahead. But yeah. Um, so I was like, I can't get a visa in the States. Where can I go? I could do a 2-year visa in the UK, but that city is so expensive and you get paid nothing in like a hospitality job. I was like, it's a different type of hustle over there, you know? So I was like, let me go to Toronto. I didn't even like, I was just like, I didn't even think about it, but I was like, oh, I guess like, you know, I guess there's actually there's a lot of artists that I know that are from Toronto actually now that I think about it. I was like, I don't know anyone. Let me just, ah, who cares? Let's just do it. So I was like, all right, let me just find a place. I found a place, rented like for 6 months, like in the city. I was like, so I wish you know, I was just like, honestly, let me just set myself up like downtown and ended up just finding and meeting. I think the thing was my heart was just so open to speaking to anyone, strangers, like, you know, and I'm always someone, I don't give a damn like who you are, what you can do for me, because to me, I'm like, that isn't what's going to make it as just like a sustainable friendship. Like for me, like sustainability roots in like honesty and straightforwardness. So for me, I'll talk to anyone, you know, I love it, love chatting to people. So you know, being in that frame of mind, I really just had an open heart moving forward. And I met this guy at this party And I said to him, yeah, like I'm a singer-songwriter, like I didn't have any music. Bless me. I'm like, when I went to Toronto, I didn't even know how to fold a cable. You know what I mean? Like I was so just like, I'm a singer-songwriter, like I'm an artist. Like I probably didn't even, I don't know if it's like wrong to say, but have the right to even call myself that as of yet, but my spirit felt it, you know?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like, yeah, like I'm a singer-songwriter, you know, I'm looking for people that have like boom bappy kind of beats, because that's what really inspired me to like write. Like I love like hip hop kind of style Jay Dilla beats, you know, love
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And you know, and this guy goes, oh yeah, I know a guy, like I could, and this guy who he talked about, Junior T, this man does not need, you know, he's amazing. He did not need to help me. And he was just like, yeah, we can link up, have you in the studio or whatever. So we just linked up, and he's still family to this day, and he just really just gave me time. And from there I just started meeting different people. Like I met my producer Keynotes in that session that I had, like in a session that I had with Junior. And yeah, it just really built relationships from there and just snowballed. But I think the main point is like I wasn't jaded. My heart was really open. I wasn't, you know, someone would probably even call me like naive, but like when I'm naive, I'm open, you know, and in that regard, that really worked at that point in time. I think that, you know, you have to be in different headspaces for different things. But yeah, I don't know. It was just like, it was amazing. So I feel like I went off point, but basically
No, I love it. I love it.
yeah, I feel like it's hard to explain unless I go through that beginning phase of, because to anyone else that's just wanting to go somewhere, obviously, you know, now it's not the right climate to do that.
Right.
But, you know, anyone who just even wants to go to the next city, like that they're not from, like in their country or whatever, it's like you just got to have an open heart and just faith, I guess, like, and prayer and all that good. But yeah, at the end, halfway through, like a year in, I was like, I'm going to do a show. um you know, I'd only released one song, and it wasn't really the style that I was going for, but it was just, I think I put that out because I was like, oh, I have to have music out to be an artist, and that's not the way my heart
That's a
feels.
showcase.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, but that's not the way I feel like now. I'm like, no, I don't need to prove to anyone that that's what I exist in. But yeah, so I just ended up doing my own show. I was like, I'm not going to wait for, you know, someone to be like, hey, I really want to give you, you know, $60 to do this showcase. I'm like, no, let me go and put on my own event and, you know, hire people that I love and bring people together and do the damn thing, you know. And then I did 3 shows after that, and I love them. Yeah.
That's so cool. So, you know, we just talked about how like Toronto was like this like very like important piece of like shaping who you are today. So let's go back to your roots. How was it growing up in Australia, and how has it shaped you as an artist and curator? What is the music scene like there?
Honestly, I've only moved here like 3 years ago to Melbourne. I'd never been to Melbourne before I moved here. So I'm not from Melbourne. So for me, I'm like, I still feel like I'm new to Melbourne in a way. Um, it's not even been 3 years yet. It's coming up to being 3 years. But so before I moved here, I hadn't really planted roots in Australia since, you know, I was 18, because I was traveling back and forth on dance contracts when I lived here originally.
Okay.
And yeah, I never really got that aspect of like what the music industry is like. I feel like, you know, my upbringing was just, it was like a small coastal town, Port Macquarie, and it was fun, you know, like I didn't wear, you know, I was just like, it was just fun. It was just a free little childhood running around, and I was just like, wild as a kid. So I guess like my sense of like silliness and like open-mindedness like comes from that part of my life, and my mother, because that woman will talk to anyone, bless her. But Melbourne, you know, from what I know and from what I'm learning, this city has so much to offer. And sometimes I'm like, damn, like it feels like the rest of the world doesn't care, but you know, because it's not showcased like that yet. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like on the map of like who pioneers what's hot and like whatever. Like I would say the States and the UK does that majoritively, you know, but the talent and the drive of people in Australia, in Melbourne specifically, because that's where I'm based, is beautiful. And I love it. It's amazing to see. For a long time I was really like stuck in the place of like, I really want to be in Toronto and like really want to be somewhere else, but I'm like, every leg of the tour is going to be different. And you know, I had to change out my mentality. If I want to go on a world tour and I have the ignorance and think that every city is going to be the same or every city is going to give you the same amount of love, it's just not accurate. It's not realistic. Like every city is different, every person's different, whatever. So the thing that I'm learning is each place that I've been is just so different, and you just have to have an open heart in every situation that you're in. And when you don't have an open heart, things are a little harder, you know, like, and I think I went through that in the first 2 years that I lived here. It's only been up until recent that I've really just like let go of like all places of where I think I should be and just really going, I'm here. Melbourne has so much to offer. People are so inspiring to me, and let me get into it, you know?
Right. That's great advice. Not just specifically to like where you're located, but just in general, like in a career in music, is just being open minded, because not every year is going to be perfect or a
Right.
So let's get into the music. So let's talk more about your artistry. If I had never listened to your music before, how would you describe your sound?
Honestly, like I would probably just be like, give me your headphones, listen, because I feel like it's such an exciting thing for the listener to depict what they think of it. Like even the genre, I'm just like someone said that I was neo soul the other day, and I was like, oh, interesting. I guess like there's notes of that in a song, you know, but that's their perception of it, and because of their experiences of what they think XYZ is, you know. Someone could say I'm more alternative R&B or soul R&B, or not even R&B, just, you know. So it just really depends on what the listener's perception is of what they, you know, like. But I've been described by people as like kind of like Alina Barez, but also Snow Allegra.
Okay, I can see that.
Maybe, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like we're all unique in our own way, but everything comes from somewhere. So I would say, yeah, I would say, give me your headphones. Let me just show you. So that.
That's a really good point, because I've had this conversation with other people about like just genres. I think we're moving away from genres because a lot of artists are like kind of playing around, and so they're no longer classified as so and so artists. It's like I can kind of do everything, and I think that's how you like kind of like have longevity in music, is just by like being able to like
you wear different hats, you know, and you don't like, you just, even just being, taking it back to the human, like the person. You're not just like, I like sewing and that's all. It's just like you like different things. You have different friends for different reasons. My sewing machine's over there, so it's like sewing. But I'm like, you have different friends for different reasons. You have different clothes for different seasons. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different. So for me as an artist, I'm like, well, who knows? Like what I might feel next year. That's called evolution, and that's beautiful. So I think for me, I'm like, when I fall in love with music, it's not just about the music. For me, I'm like, I fall in love with an artist, like a person, like the person that is behind the music, like, because they're having a human experience of evolution. And whether I like the music or not, like that's none of my business, you know what I mean? Like that's their artistry. Like, yeah. And I think that's beautiful. It's exploration, and it's at its finest, and super inspiring to me when people choose to like swap things up and whatever, even if I don't like it or it's not for me in this time, like it might be in 2 years or whatever, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So in 2016, you released your debut single, Soul and Beat. How did that song come about, and how did people react to it? Is that the song that
Yeah.
you mentioned that like didn't really go with your flow, but you just kind of
Yeah,
like
bless.
that's what I figured.
So it's a great song. Like I like the production on it. Drew Chen, his name is. He's from Singapore, and he did an amazing job on that, and just like really helped me out. It was like the first time I'd been in like a really professional studio, and so that was a really special time in my life. And like honestly, I thought I was the shit. Like I was like, guys, I'm having a listening party. I've put out this music video where I'm like dancing in it. Like I had no clue about like I think because I was so used to being on, like as a performing artist, that's what I thought, that's the way I thought that I could step into this. But over the years, I've come to just this peace within myself that it's like, I don't have to be like on show. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I can just be relaxed about it and within myself, you know what I mean? And
For itself.
yeah, yeah. Wait, say that again.
Let my work or my art talk for itself. Like I don't have to say anything.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Like I don't need to go to someone and say, "Hey, can you please share this? Like I've just put out this song. Can you please?" No, if you would like to share it, you can see it's there. If it's for you, you'll listen to it. If you're drawn to it, it's for you. You know what I'm saying? Like and with Soul and Beat, I loved it. The song was written, I actually got inspiration to write that song in New Orleans. And I heard this artist, her name was Michaela Harrison, I'm pretty sure. She's just like doing a gig in this bar in the French Quarter. And I was like, Mum, I was like, who the hell is singing Indie right now? Like, this song is like life, please. And Mum's just like, huh? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just being dragged by me down this place. And I was like, oh my God. And like, I didn't even want food, but I was like, we had to eat to get to listen to the show or whatever like the situation was. So I was like, great. Like, and I just watched her and I just was in awe of like just the way she performed and like spoke to the audience and everything. So that's where Soul and Beat came from. And yeah, it was a fun and great time. Yeah, but it's definitely not, what just where I'm going. So
Right. And we all
what
have
is though?
now. So fast forward to 2019 and the release
Mhm,
of your two singles, That's How I Feel and Frequency Doing Just Fine.
mhm.
Both songs were received really well. I mean, I still listen to them. How do
Thank
you
you.
think your music has changed or evolved since your debut single?
Well, I just think that as a person I've evolved. So I think that like going back to what you just said, like I don't need to shout it from the rooftops that I'm in the room. It's more just like I know I'm here. I don't need anyone who doesn't naturally see that to see me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm okay to just do this because I love it and to get it to the point that I can to be received potentially by someone who can help or not. Like so so the sound has evolved in the way of I was working with K-Notes on That's Just How I Feel. And I put that out when I left Toronto. And yeah, that was a vibe. Like it was so beautifully received. And I just had like I was in Melbourne actually when I released it, and the people that I was around on that day, it was so special. Like everyone was just hyping this song up. Like I was like, oh, this is so lovely. It was just like a beautiful feeling of just again people coming together over this song, that isn't even mine anymore.
Yeah.
And then Frequency Doing Just Fine was a realization of just like, you know what? Like I'm good. Like I'm actually okay.
Right.
And I worked with a Melbourne producer here to make that happen, and it was a really special. It was just so random the way it came about, but it was a really great experience, and I'm still in contact and in works with that person today. It's super phenomenal. So yeah, I just think as I'm figuring myself out, like the clarity is being shown in my music and just the way I do my thing. So I think that, yeah, that's the way it's evolved.
Yeah. So walk us through your creative process. Like, what does that typically look like for you?
So creative process in terms of um, everything or just in music, like as in the actual sonic, the music of it.
We can focus on music right now, and then we can expand into other
Mm-hmm.
parts of who you are.
So creatively, I've actually just started to learn how to use Ableton in the past year. Again, not waiting for the right producer to come along. I would never call myself a producer because I feel like I'm not trying to be a pioneer in production, but to have a basic understanding of how a track comes to be, knowing the different language I can speak to my producer about is really important. So, and also just getting those soundscapes out, like what I think is nice, like what I think is dope, like what naturally comes from me, like musically, for me to then write to it. So it's been really cool learning a program that really, like when I think of Ableton, I'm so sorry, but I just think of like a guy. Maybe that's just my own perception, but it's like there's, there's incredible women producers out there, but it's not really something that's like showcased so often. So for me, it's really cool to be learning it and, just learning it to understand it. And I guess that understanding bleeds into the different parts of my artistry as well. I love to have an understanding of everything that's going on. So, I can control what I can control to the most of my ability, not having other people, do a job for me or do my branding or something and not have any understanding of what's going on. Like, it's so important that my DNA is in like everything, like I touch everything, all the pieces that are around me kind of thing. And also be able to communicate with the people that I'm working with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a certain like vision or a sound you're trying to accomplish. Like it's better when you can communicate that across.
Right. Yeah, right. And it's also a really beautiful experience for me to identify like where my influences lie in all of that as well, like where something comes from and what I'm paying my respects to, have that deep understanding of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us about your unreleased single, Unravel, and what should we expect from it?
Oh, okay. Firstly, I have had Unravel for 4 years. I have had Unravel. I've been holding on to that for 4 years. And some people will be like, why? Like, why?
On
Huh?
YouTube. I said I heard it was it an instrumental?
Yeah, exactly. So I've had that for a minute and
Sounds amazing. So
thank you so much. Thank you. I'm honestly, I feel so ready to release this track. I really believe in it. It's so special. It's about two lovers coming together and just feeling really safe and open to do and be whatever you want to be, and it's just that safety and freedom within a partnership. And it's based off experience a little, but more so desire in what it is that I like, the way in which I would love to be loved, by someone one day. So, yeah, I think that it's 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 taught me patience more than anything. Having this music uh, has taught me patience because we're so disposable these days in quick, I've got this song, I've got to put it out. And it's like, yeah, I understand the whole release and rollout process. And I can't wait to get to that point with a group of people and a team that believe in me. I can't wait for that, where I only have to focus solely on the music. But right now I'm wearing multiple hats. I'm understanding myself. I'm understanding the music industry beast that I'm walking into. And I'm observing everything. So for the past 4 years, I'm so happy that I have not put out this song, because I'd be doing it a disservice if I just put it out because I felt like I had to put out music to be current or be an artist. And that might be a really like emotional way of seeing it, but I don't care. I'm like, it's an emotional way of seeing it, yeah, I feel really stoked that it has, like, I've gotten it to this point and I've understood the song and the way in which I want to release it and let that go to the world, really gotten it to a point. So I'm really stoked and excited to release that. Yeah.
It's like your baby. I'm excited too for it. I heard the instrumental, it sounds fire. And just like how you describe like what the theme is.
Yeah.
So are there any other projects or singles we should be looking forward to?
Yeah, so the music video for Unravel is also something that I just want to touch on, because this music video is something that I will be doing with like a full team. And as an independent artist, you know, that's a big deal for me personally. Like there's like 10 people involved in this, and this is the first time that I've been able to have this experience, be around people that really believe in me. And just I'm so stoked. I'm working with a company called Alt House here in Melbourne. So Grace is leading that the production of everything, and Claudia Howcroft, my neighbor and dear friend, she's doing my branding and everything for me. So it's just really beautiful to be around people that believe in the music, because it's one thing to believe in like your mate or just someone that you're working with, but it's like believing in the music, and
Yeah.
just being around that is like so special. So I can't wait to actually be on set, do this music video and actually give people an insight to myself as a multifaceted woman, because I think that's what the music video is going to be depicting, like showing me in different phases, different wearing different hats. Yeah. And future music releases, there's definitely things coming. I wrote a song end of last year with a woman called Jade Inc. She's an incredible artist from Toronto, love her. And that was a great experience working and writing with someone. I think I get really stuck sometimes on my own, so it was beautiful to be able to see how she does her thing as well. So I'm really excited to put out that. And yeah, eventually an EP. So things are coming, but the focus is at the moment Unravel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So, question. We often pay homage to like the seniors in the music industry or the more established artists. Is there anyone who you look up to that's like newer, like that you take notes from, that's like kind of blossoming right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, take me off guard with that one. I'm like, wait. Yeah. I mean, a dear friend of mine, Solly Tesma, she's a Melbourne-based artist, and I love hearing her perform and sing, and the way she has her community in place. Like that is something that's so beautiful and special to watch, like as a friend, but also just as a fan as well of her. Solly Tesma is someone that I'm really just love seeing. There's so many people that I could mention right now. PK, he's in Toronto. He's he's in Montreal, Toronto. He's incredible. Yeah, there's a bunch of people. Honestly, I could like at any point in time, I have this on my Substance Gold Spotify account. I have like a playlist with like all the people that I would want to shout out. I love them. But yeah, that would be the two people that come to my mind first, and just people that I love seeing their hustle, their motivation and their drive, and not to mention Junior T. Like, to me, I'm like, that man inspires me beyond words. His music is incredible. Like literally, he just dropped a album a while ago called Studio Monk, and it's phenomenal. So it's just a blessing to be around people that are just great at what they do, but just good people, like kind and loving people. So yeah.
So like as you mentioned earlier, while living in Toronto, you developed this passion for like curating events and shows. You just mentioned Substance Gold. So explain what Substance Gold is for our viewers, and how kind of curating shows and events led to the creation of it.
Yeah. So Substance Gold started out as an Instagram page where I shared my inner thoughts without anyone knowing that it was me, right? Because I didn't really, I'm kind of private like that. It's like, yeah, I want to put it out there, but it's like, I don't necessarily want people to make an assumption about like the place that I'm in or whatever. So at that point in time, that's what it was. Substance Gold has now expanded to be the platform in which I put out my shows with. So Substance Gold presents Ellen Bryant, or Substance Gold presents da 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 da. So yeah, it's basically the middle person that allows me to lean on and to make it just, yeah, it's a community space, like the actual name of it. So with the events and everything, like I love incorporating different mediums. So like my last event in Toronto, it had, you know, a sustainable cutlery kits, Immortelle cutlery kits. It had a candle, Topanga Moon candle company. It had Essentials by Temi skincare at it, and it's a whole thing. It's not just music. It's an experience of of products, you know, and life and all the things you need. So for me at the moment, that is what it is. Like it is a events company, if you will. But if I was to dream and put it out to the world of what I want Substance Gold to be, maybe it's a management, maybe it's a label, maybe it is a like a full-on events company that, you know, is in form of a warehouse somewhere and it does like events for up and coming artists, like, you know. So ultimately at the moment it's just my friend that I have with me along the ride. So it seems like it's not just Ellen Bryant, it's like Substance Gold and Ellen Bryant. You know.
Right.
Sorry.
I said I love it, and it's really, really, really dope. I checked it out. It's like, this is cool.
Thank you.
Like
Yeah.
a taste of like the things that you're into.
Yeah. And it also, so I have a mailing list, and this is like so old school, but like I honestly, I love this mailing list because it's a place for me to share things that I'm inspired by, you know. At the moment it's just me, but like in the future, if it's a management and or an agency and we have multiple artists on it or whatever, like they have their own mailing list or whatever type of thing. Because you know, we're so distracted these days by on Instagram or wherever your platform is, and we forget about the simplicity of a friggin' email, you know. I feel I have like 3 emails that I've subscribed to. I don't want it to get too busy in my mailing list. So, but those things like I genuinely read and take in, you know, it's not so busy. I'm not like being distracted by the next post that I accidentally scroll down to. So Substance Gold Ellen Bryant mailing list is a place where I can share materials, my friends' up and coming music as well as mine, you know, merch drops, but that's like the exclusive first place that I share information. Yeah.
Dope. And you created Substance Gold with community in mind, and kind of talked about like how community has played like a vital role in like you becoming who you are today. So like if you could define what community is, how would you define it?
Community has you when you don't have yourself. And that doesn't just go for like music. You may not even be friends with the people in your community, but they have you when you don't. So my area that I live in, for example, like the other day, the neighbors, we're in lockdown right now, and the neighbors, they have 2 small kids. They brought us homemade cinnamon scrolls and a bottle of Prosecco. And they said, you know, we know that you're probably, you know, going through a hard time right now. I just wanted to show love. But thank you. You know, the lockdown before that, I made lasagna for the people across the road and up the road. Like that's a sense of community. Going up the street and, you know, buying someone a coffee on the street or whatever, like that's community, knowing their name. Like I remember there was a time in my life where I didn't want anyone to know my like business. Like I didn't want them to know my name. I was really like, as much as I'm really open, I was open within my own control, you know? Whereas now I'm very open to just, you never know when someone needs a chat, you know, you never know when you're going to like actually just inject love in someone's day in just a small kind of way. And yeah, community has you when you don't have yourself. Like in the most depressing and dark times that I go through, I am so grateful, like in the pit of my stomach, the back of my head, my community in Toronto, in Melbourne, my family, like they're all there being like, yo, Ellen, it's okay. Like we're pushing you so you can just relax for a moment and just like be sad, be in this feeling that you're experiencing because we still believe in you. And I'm exactly that to my friends when they're going through it. So that's community to me, like bringing people together. You have each other, you've got each other's back, and you talk about one another when, like, you know, in a positive sense when they're not around, you know, like, yeah.
That's actually beautiful. And it plays a part in music because you have people who can support you in the things that you do.
Yeah.
Doing it because, you know, they feel pressure. They're doing it because they want to. So that's a good point.
It's never just the artist. Like, you know, the artist looks great, cool, they have great photo shoots, cool, they look really hot on their Instagram, or they sing really well, but it's like a child. It takes a friggin' village. Like, it literally takes a village. Like, no one does anything on their own. Like, whenever someone says, oh, I did this on my own, I'm like, no, you have Instagram. Like, you have people that believe in you, you have people that are liking your thing. Yeah. So for me, I'm like, communication and interaction with my community is so important to me. Like, I love them. You know, like, honestly. Yeah.
So what does success look like for you in the next year or so?
So success is a state of being, and for me, I'm like, that looks like having a solid morning routine, having a solid evening routine. It looks like believing in myself every day. It looks like writing task lists to, like, get that sense of accomplishment going for the day. I mean, honestly, it's really hard to plan right now. We're currently in lockdown in Melbourne, and we're going to be in and out of lockdown for like however long. So I'm just doing what I can from my room. But ultimately, I'm going to put this out there right now. I want to be on Colors TV one day. I want to, you know, yeah, I want to play at Coachella one day. Like, but, you know, a friend of mine, Joel Naga, he actually said, listen, you got to put in linear steps to get there. And I was like, right. So doing those things now to maybe establish a sense of possibility in the future with those, you know, dreams and goals, you know, that's what's my focus at the moment, and just making sure my mind's right, because I really feel ready to like get this, you know, get it cracking.
I like how you mentioned linear steps, because I think assume that things are like kind of done overnight with, you know, social media. Sometimes things are kind of accomplished overnight, but focusing on the small things so that they lead to bigger things is also really important. So I
Yeah.
you bring that up.
Yeah, he mentioned this to me last year, and I was just like, yeah, because that's my issue. I think way too big, which is great. Like, I think I'm just like, nah, I'm gonna do it. And it's just like, okay, cool, that's really great, but like, put your ego down for a hot second and look at, like, what can you do today to maybe establish that in the future.
Right.
And yeah, for example, to get on Colors TV, you have to submit a music video and the track. So for me, I'm like, Unravel, great, I'm going to use this, send it to them, you know, and tell them, hey, let me sing. You know, those jokes.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Ellen, for talking with us today. I just really love, you know, hearing your story, hearing where you came from, hearing some of your goals. Let the community know where they can check you out, and kind of just stay in touch with you.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for this platform to be able to connect with different audiences globally. Like, that is so important. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to, like, speak and, you know, to be heard. So thank you for having me. It's been great speaking to you. And my socials, you can find me at Ellen Bryant Sounds on Instagram and all other platforms. My website is Ellen Bryant Music, just to really flip things up there. And you can also be on my mailing list there as well, if you like to, no pressure. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Thank you, Ellen.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.